A mother noticed that new scratches were appearing on her child, so she installed a camera to see what was happening. When she noticed what her cat was doing, she burst into tears. Charlotte Main was a 25-year-old woman who lived in a small town in America. The one thing that Charlotte had always wanted in life was to have a family. She had grown up surrounded by her brothers and sisters, as well as a lot of cousins, so the young woman was used to having a lot of people around her all of the time. Despite knowing that she would like a family of her own, Charlotte also realized that she would like to finish her studies at college and get a good job so that she could provide for her baby when she finally had one. At the time, the young woman was in her final year of college. She was studying to be an architect, as she had always had a fascination with buildings and design, and she hoped that one day she would be able to design a building that would be built in the middle of the city for all to see. But even though Charlotte was very ambitious and she knew that she wanted to get a good job, her desire for a family left her feeling very lonely. In order to cure her loneliness, the young woman decided one day to adopt an animal. She figured that it would be the next best thing to a child, as it would provide her with comfort and companionship without demanding too much of her time. Even though Charlotte loved all animals, she decided that a dog wouldn't be the best choice for her at that time in her life. She simply didn't have the time to take it for walks and give it the attention that it would need. Knowing this, the young woman decided to instead adopt a cat. She went to a local shelter one day and had a look at all the kitties that they had. The ages of the felines ranged from kittens that were a few weeks old to cats well over 10 years old. However, none of them really seemed to stand out to Charlotte. Just as she was about to give up on her search, the young woman stumbled across a cage which held quite a peculiar cat. The animal was roughly 5 years old, and the information on her adoption note said that she had been found as a stray. The cat herself was very fluffy, and she seemed to be a mix of breeds, although Charlotte couldn't quite figure out what breeds they were. The shelter had named that feline Trix, a name that Charlotte liked quite a lot. As the young woman was looking at Trix, the cat walked up to the bars of her cage and meowed at her. It was at this moment that Charlotte knew that she had found the animal that she wanted to take home. Just as she was about to look for someone to help her fill in the adoption form, a young man walked up to her. He told Charlotte that he was a volunteer and that he would be happy to help her adopt Trix. He told Charlotte that the feline had been picked up as a kitten, but no one wanted to adopt her, so she had been at the shelter for the last 5 years. Once the adoption was completed, the man, called Martin, asked her if it would be okay if he visited the cat on occasion. He had grown fond of the little kitty over the years, and he would miss her being around. Charlotte was hesitant at first, but agreed to let him come over every now and then to see Trix. Once Charlotte got her new pet home, she was shocked to see just how the cat reacted to her new environment. The feline was very violent, often lashing out at Charlotte and hissing at her if she got too close. But the young woman was determined to befriend the animal, and so she took her time to slowly get Trix used to her presence and the new surroundings. It took a couple of weeks, during which time Martin visited quite often and even helped Charlotte calm the cat down. As the two humans got to know each other, they started to bond over their shared interests. Martin revealed that he was currently in college, studying to become a doctor. Eventually, Charlotte and Martin began to date, and before long, they were engaged. After a couple of years, Charlotte had managed to find herself a well-paying job at a local architect firm, and Martin was almost a fully qualified surgeon. After deciding that they were quite stable financially and knowing that they had always wanted their own family, Charlotte and Martin decided to have a baby, and it happened fairly quickly too. 9 months later, Charlotte gave birth to a healthy baby boy, who the couple decided to call Daniel. At first, both Charlotte and Martin were worried about how Trix would react to the new baby, but to their great relief, the feline instantly took to the child. The cat would try to always be around Daniel when she could and would protect him from anything she thought might be dangerous. After a few months, Charlotte decided that she wanted to go back to work, and so she and Martin began the process of looking for a nanny to look after Daniel during the day. They interviewed lots of people and ended up hiring a woman called Sasha, who seemed to have the best credentials out of all the other nannies that the couple had seen. At first, everything seemed to be going well with the new nanny. Daniel seemed to love her, and Trix wouldn't hiss at her when she was about. Charlotte and Martin were thrilled, but then strange things started to happen. One day, Charlotte noticed that Daniel had some new scratches on his arms and a small bruise. The worried mother asked Sasha about the injuries, to which the nanny replied that the cat had begun to act up around the baby and had started lashing out at him. Charlotte was horrified at this news. She didn't want her furry friend and her baby to not get along. But as the young mother began to think over Sasha's story, she started to doubt what she had been told. From the very first moment that Daniel had been brought home, Trix had shown nothing but love and affection for the baby. So why would she start to act up now? Not convinced by what Sasha had said, Charlotte decided to set up a secret camera in Daniel's room so that she could see what was really going on. But when she looked over the footage, she burst into tears at what her cat was doing. After leaving Daniel with the nanny for the day, Charlotte returned home and immediately started to watch the recording. At first, everything seemed normal. Sasha fed Daniel and then put him down for a nap in his cot. Meanwhile, Trix was sunning herself on the window ledge. But it was when Daniel started to get fussy that things took a turn for the worse. As the baby began to make a noise and cry, Sasha quickly stormed off of the sofa and towards the baby's bedroom. Seeing the movement, Trix immediately jumped to her feet and rushed after the agitated woman. Once in the baby's bedroom, Sasha began to shout at Daniel and even scratched and pinched his arm in an attempt to get him to stop crying. It was at this moment that Trix jumped up into the cot and scratched Sasha. The nanny leapt back in horror and tried to shoo the cat away, but the feline would not move from her protective stance over the baby. Deciding that she had seen enough, Charlotte contacted the local police and told them about everything she had just seen. Upon seeing the evidence for themselves, the police then arrested Sasha and she was sent to prison for abusing a child. On top of that, she was told that she could never be a nanny again and that if she tried to advertise herself as one, she would be sent back to jail. Meanwhile, Charlotte and Martin spoiled Trix rotten with as many treats and toys as she wanted as a thank you for protecting their precious baby. This story just proves that cats are just as loyal and loving as dogs. Let me know what you thought of this video in the comments below. And don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons for more awesome videos.